So, Michelle,
Yes.
we were desperately trying to get to see No Time to Die.
Yes, we were, and I still haven't seen it.
Yeah, well, I did.
Okay, don't tell me anything.
There's a mysterious thing.
Don't tell me anything.
I've just got to tell you one little bit.
No.
But it's the first, one little spoiler. It's
No.
the first 30 seconds.
No.
Well, it sort of influences what we're going to talk about today.
Okay.
And it's all about married spies,
Okay.
right? And that's all I'll say. No spoiler alert, just today we're talking about spies that are married.
Okay. You're listening to I Spied, the dating service of Australian intelligence.
Hi, my name's Dave. I'm a spy and I'm looking for a girl to go spying with me. Call me now.
It's not how it works. Hello and welcome to I Spied. My name's Michelle Stevenson. I'm here with David Callan, and apparently we're talking about married spies.
Yeah.
Now, it's interesting that you brought up Bond, but you said no spoilers.
No.
But I feel like that's a spoiler because I'm not that stupid to not connect some kind of dot here. Anyway, I still haven't seen it. I'm going to go see it.
It's not really that big a spoiler.
Okay.
Right, so don't panic about it. But watching it, I suddenly went, ooh, married spies.
Yes.
We haven't talked about this. I mentioned the fact that, people at ASIO would marry other people at ASIO.
Because it made it easier.
Made it easier to go
Because
home.
you have to lie.
You can talk about work.
Yes.
You can do that sort of thing. It means you have a lovely open relationship with your spouse.
Yes.
But what if you were to use married couples as spies in situ? So
Well, we see this all the time. Like there was that American TV show called The Americans.
The Americans, yes, which is a really, really good example of what the Russians would have been doing, or at the time the Soviets would have been doing in the 80s.
Yes.
But we're still doing it. I mean, there was the Toybies, that lovely couple that we spoke about in an episode a couple of weeks ago. Toyby or not Toyby. Check it out. It's in the backlist.
Yeah.
What happened was they were a couple that basically volunteered intelligence. But what if you were to train a married couple to go into a different country and spy for you?
Wow.
Now, the Russians do it a lot more than you would imagine. In fact, a spy ring was broken up around about 2010 where 11 spies were arrested. Out of the 11, 8 of them were married couples.
Okay.
Or were they?
I was going to say, are they married for love or is it a cover?
Well, that's the thing. For the Russians, they were a cover. These couples were, literally, they would recruit these different people and they'd say, well, do you work with them? And they'd match them up as couples and then train them as couples in the Soviet Union. They have a American town built in the Soviet Union where they train them. It's all part of their...
And do they have children?
Now, here's the interesting thing. We're going to talk about children because that's a very important point. Yes, they do. Like one couple had an 8-year-old and a 17-year-old, these kids that were born and raised in America, not knowing that mum and dad were Russian spies.
And did not love each other.
It's
It's kind of like the Russian version of Tinder. You know?
Swipe right.
Yes.
Or left. I don't know. I swipe up. Which way do you swipe? I don't know.
Swipe right.
Swipe right. Is that you like them?
Yes.
And swipe left is you don't?
Yes. But look, I've never used Tinder. That's just according to my single friends.
Yeah, well, I don't know either. I've never Tindered. I mean, that stuff, I met my wife when she tried to throw an ashtray at me when I was on stage at the Comedy Store.
Sounds fair.
Yeah, well, it's, I married a heckler.
Yeah.
These guys are trained, right? They're trained as married couples to go to the United States and then ingratiate themselves with the targets. So they might be trained as saboteurs. So they will just sit there in America, living the life American. They talk about one couple how she made a Statue of Liberty-shaped cookies and he wore golf shirts and cargo shorts and was a stay-at-home dad. And they were Russian spies.
Amazing.
Yeah. In fact, this couple got into a lot of trouble from their Russian handlers because they bought a house. And the Russians went, that is not mission. You're off mission. Stop getting into real estate. This is not why you're here. And quite rightly, the wife turned around and said, well, everybody in America, this is what they do in America.
Yeah, they buy houses.
They buy houses.
No one rents.
So if we don't buy a house, we're going to start standing out.
Right.
Problem with it was some of them were living a bit too rich.
Yeah, I bet. So, and also, who's paying them? Are they getting money from the Russians, or are they living off everything they earn from their jobs?
A little bit from column A, a little bit from column B. I mean, they're going to have a life. They're going to have jobs. And one of them was actually cozying up to a professor who was working in nuclear research. This is always the thing.
This is like the basis of every Marvel movie, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like, have you seen Black Widow?
No.
Okay, you've got to watch Black Widow.
Oh,
It's the same
I've
thing.
got to watch Black Widow,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
you cannot watch No Time to Die.
I want to watch No Time to Die.
You should have watched it before.
But I also have a child and I want to see it in a cinema, and you can't take a child to a cinema.
Wait a minute, you're married with a child. You could be a Russian spy.
Who says I'm not?
Oh, God. Well, it makes sense that you're here.
Yep.
Now, the whole idea is they're either in there to work as a counterinsurgent should there be hostility between the two nations, or they're there to try and influence public thinking. So they're trying to get close to people like, as I said, this professor. They were trying to get close to him to get information from him. But at the same time, they were working, this one couple were working in a university, and they were trying to gradually sort of like push people towards the idea that, hey, Russia's not so bad. Because this is 2010. This is post-Soviet Union now. So this is aspiring that came up with the one guy who they regarded as the paymaster. So yes, they were being paid by the Russians.
Yep.
This one guy managed to get out of the country, got as far as Cyprus where he was arrested and then sent back to the US. So they have children, they buy houses even though they're not supposed to. And when they get busted, that's it. They are charged with espionage and then suffer the consequences. Generally one of them turned around and said, look, we want our children to be taken care of by their Russian grandparents. And the kids were like, who the hell are you people?
Oh my God.
They're born and raised Americans. They didn't even know they were Russians. Right? They didn't know their parents were Russians. So that's how well they're trained. But the interesting point is when you look at something like the Stasi. And the Stasi wrote the book on it because up until 1974, nobody recognised East Germany as a country.
Yeah.
There was no diplomatic relationships. Because you don't have a diplomatic relation with anybody, you can't have an embassy, no legal residence.
Yeah.
Remember we talked about that in the Skripal affair. They had to work out a way of getting illegals, what they're called illegal residents or illegals, into, and what they wanted was West Germany. They wanted to get into West Germany until they realised, why don't we just send married couples over there as political refugees?
Oh, that makes sense.
And it worked brilliantly because, they come over going, oh, he's terrible over there. They're being very awful to us, right? Please let us stay.
What is that accent?
It's kind of German.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm kind of sliding around the accent.
I was going to say, yeah.
Give me a break. It's the end of the year. It's been a long year.
It's been a long year.
It's been a crazy long year.
I know.
So they would infiltrate them as political refugees. Now, one of the most famous couples, one of them actually wound up as the aide to the Chancellor of West Germany. Right, so that is how good. If you're really, really good at how you do it, that's how far you can progress in your job. Now, let's go through this. You'll love this. I loved this when it came out. When the Berlin Wall fell, the Russians turned around to the East Germans and went, destroy everything, shred everything you've got. But one thing survived. It was a handbook for training illegals, and it's called Basic Questions of Guidance, Education and Qualifications of Residents.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah, and imagine if it was in German, which in German would probably be Hafenschmutt. And it's we're done.
So much easier.
Yeah, it's so much easier. Right, gee, you English people take so long. So this was how they would recruit and train a married couple. Now, first, they would spy on that married couple. Are they ideologically committed to communism, to the East German cause? And
so sorry, they would get the married couple who were already married.
yeah, they'd find an already married couple.
Okay. They wouldn't put two people together.
No. This is the genius of what they did, right?
Okay.
First, they checked to make sure that they were ideologically pure.
Yeah.
Yes, East Germany is the way.
Yeah.
We're committed to global communism and the freedom of the workers and destruction of capitalism. But also, they checked them to make sure they had a very robust marriage.
Yep.
They were always looking for very solid ones. So they wanted the harmony and the stability of the marriage was critical.
Yeah.
Now, what would happen was they'd look at the premarital relationship, how they met. They'd look at the power dynamics, who's running the show, who's the top, who's the bottom,
Yeah.
who's wearing the pants, who's wearing the frock, who does the money, who does the cookie, or in my case, my wife who's the boss, and then there's me who does everything else, right? And they'd also look at points of tension, which is very important. You need to know what the triggers for this couple are, and of course their sex life. Are they both satisfied? Are their desires being voiced, and are they being fulfilled?
Because when you want a spy that could potentially be okay with sleeping with someone else, because isn't that like a good way to get?
Yeah, the honey trap. But no, they recruited specific. They were called Robins and Ravens.
Oh, okay.
Right, and the Robins and the Ravens, and generally Ravens. They didn't use a lot of Robins. Ravens were better because they used to find these poor single girls working in the embassy, like in the American embassy, and this suave, sophisticated gentleman would Yeah, and sweep her off her feet, and the next thing she's handing material over to them. With the girls, it was like, go in, get him compromised so we can get a photo of him, and then we turn around and go, we'll tell the wife. They recruited specific agents to do that, but with the married couples, you want a really stable relationship because the one thing you got to realise is they're in isolation.
But this is the one thing I always found interesting, right? So they're put into, just say, this small town in America or wherever they are, and they're working and they're part of the community and they're there for years.
Yeah.
That's a bit of a head fuck.
Very much so. And that's why the Stasi really wanted to use married couples because they've got each other to cling to.
I know, but still, at one point, do you not go, hang on a minute, this Americanization is actually quite good.
Well, there is an interesting case that came out in Australia. A cell of Middle Eastern Islamist terrorists came to Australia. This is a true story. Came to Australia.
Got on the beers.
Wait, it gets better. It gets better. Their locale, they decided they would hide themselves in the northern beaches. One of them took up surfing.
Yeah.
Then the other three took up surfing with him. And then they basically turned around to ASIO and went, we're a terrorist cell. We're going to tell you absolutely everything we can.
Because we're having the best time.
And can we just go back and surf?
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, that is the real sort of problem
that's
with
what I
illegal.
would think. Like, if you're coming from like somewhere like East Germany and then you're put into somewhere in America and you realize that, hang on a minute, like this kind of freedom and this Americanization and like the money and everything, like, do you not at some point go, this is actually good. What am I fighting for?
I don't have to queue for toilet paper.
Yes.
They have my size shoe.
Yes.
Because that was an interesting thing that came out. I always found it interesting, the thing of Khrushchev banging his shoe on the table of the UN to get attention. Shoes are very important. You could never get the right size shoe. All shoes in Russia were always made really small because the factory managers were running on quotas. The factories ran on quotas. So to create the right number of shoes, they weren't told how many of what size. They were just told you have to build this many shoes with this much material. So what they do is they make the smallest shoes they possibly could.
To get the most shoes.
To get the most shoes. And then any material that's left over, they'd sell on the black market.
Right.
And then the factory manager would go and suddenly have a dacha down on the Black Sea for summer. But again, it comes down to that idea they've got to be ideologically pure.
Yep.
Now, the first step to recruiting the couple is you recruit the power in the couple. So the principal member, the one you want to do the work.
So the woman.
Well, a lot of the time.
I'm joking.
No. A lot of the time it could be the woman because you've got the skill set that we need to get you into that department. So we're going to recruit you. So whether it's the wife or the husband, you recruit that person first.
So it'd be quite complex because not only are you recruiting a married couple that have to like tick all of these boxes, but also potentially they're going to have jobs and work in places where they can compromise, the target.
Oh, they're not there yet. They're still in East Germany.
No, but I mean, like when they're choosing people, they have to make sure that they tick all of these boxes, but also that they hold jobs or careers that could also move forward the cause.
Completely. That's absolutely correct.
That's hard. Like that's like a needle in a haystack kind of thing.
It's not the sort of thing that you just throw together.
No.
It's not you go, oh, they're a really nice couple. Can you work with us yet?
No. It's quite complex.
Yeah. So when you look at something like the Toybies who actually turned around and went, oh, we're going to give you, who can we sell this to? They're a really unstable element. Right, they're already unstable because hang on, they're betraying their country. So ideologically, they're impure. Right, they're already, even if they believe in our ideology, they're ready to turn their backs on their own country.
I mean that's what they say all the time, right?
Yeah.
Once a cheater, always a cheater.
Yeah. So you want these people to be. I wouldn't know. I've never cheated.
Yeah. Okay.
Except at Scrabble.
And Monopoly.
Yeah, G is a word. It's a word. It's a Greek letter.
It is.
It is actually.
It is.
Trust me.
No, it was meant to be like wasn't meant to be Omicron. It was meant to be G. But anyway.
But who knows why?
Yeah.
Why G? Why? Anyway,
no one wants to name the next variant after China. No.
So first we recruit this guy. Right, or this, we recruit the husband or the wife, and then we start training them in defensive tradecraft, so recognising a tale, also how to handle a source, and how to operate in the West. We start teaching you how to live in the West. Because if you've grown up in East Germany...
You have no idea. What about their accents? Like how to mask their accents? That would be really hard.
Generally, they were only sending them to West Germany.
Oh, right. This is not like the...
No, this isn't them sending them to America.
Okay, right.
But don't forget, West Germany and East Germany, that wall in the
There's
middle...
still accent differences, though, between East and West Germans.
you're sent over there as a political refugee.
Oh,
so
yeah,
you're
of course.
already identified as an East German.
I'm not even following you along, but now I'm getting there.
Yeah, now you're getting there.
It's quite complex.
So they do all of this, and this is the first phase of a 3-phase program,
okay.
right? The end of that phase is they recruit the spouse. They then turn around to the wife or the husband of the principal and say, we're recruiting him to be a spy and we want you to come along and help. Now, they will always make that person subordinate. Got to maintain that power structure that someone's in charge and someone's subordinate. So, and they'll be looking at the couple going, who is the one in charge of this relationship? Because that's our principle, and the natural subordinate becomes the subordinate in the duo. The next thing they have to do, stage 2, is resolution. I love this. Resolution of any contradictions between a residency requirements and the candidate's personality. So essentially, you've now got to turn around and go, okay, yeah, you're really ideologically pure. You've really got a very, very solid relationship, but you tend to punch people who say socialism is stupid. That could be a problem for us, you know, let alone communism. So they've got to make sure that that they can work in the West. That's a really important part of it. The way they do this is they give the couple of false identities, and they move them to a different town. In East Germany.
Okay.
So, and at the same time, they're creating the legend that goes behind them. Now, the legend is your backstory. Yeah. And the legend has to be really, really good. Like, really, you can't have any holes in it. So what they'll do is they'll give them false IDs, and when you think about false identification, for you to buy a false ID, you can probably pick one up for about $70 on online. Yeah, you can.
I've never tried.
You probably wind up with a West Australian driver's license or Northern Territory driver's license. You can get fake IDs online for about $70, and they're pretty good.
Okay.
But if you want to
I've never sourced that before, and it's funny that you know that.
The sort of things you learn when you have teenage sons and go, what's going on my computer, son? Oh, no, nothing, Dad. Let me tell you, the false IDs, ladies and gentlemen, absolutely killed by the vaccine certificate.
Oh, yeah, I know, right?
You've got to have a matching.
I know.
Yeah, absolutely. It's ruined underage drinking in this country, or actually solved it. So they give you false identities. Now, the thing is, when I said you can get a false ID for $70 online, please. And by the way, I'm not telling you to do that, just in case anyone goes out there and gets arrested and says, David Callan and I Spy told me to do it. I'm not telling you to do that. I'm just saying that it can be done. But for something like a passport, they're minted. They're extremely complicated documents to create.
Yep.
So, but remember, you've got a government that has a mint. Right, so that government would be able to access any passport you need.
Yeah.
So particularly for the Russians, they would give their American illegals, they'd be giving them, American passports or a British passport, whatever passport you need, you will get, because they'll get a copy of it they'll steal one from the whichever country you're going to, and then they will literally recreate it. So that's it. That's done. You've given a false identification. You're moved into a new town. You might start running agents in that town. Even though you're still in East Germany, you're running agents. But then what they do is, while they're doing that, they pretty much erase you.
Wow.
So if you're a member of the Communist Party, you're erased.
Yep.
Right? That's erased. If you have close friends, you're never going to see them again. Right? They basically completely erase your life.
Why would you do this? For love of country?
Yeah. That is the oath they have to give at the end is, I understand that my life belongs to the country, to the nation. I support the party. The party is all, and I will defend it with my life.
Whack jobs.
Right? Yeah. They're
absolute whack jobs.
Totally pilled. But also, hey, you get to live in West Germany.
Yeah, and also you probably get more money than you used to.
Yeah.
And you can buy shoes that fit.
You get shoes that fit, and you don't have to queue for toilet paper.
It's a win-win. It's a win-win.
It's a win-win for everyone.
Yeah.
So the final thing they do after your identities are wiped, that's the other thing they do while they've got you in a different city. They check to see how you react to the isolation. A lot of people would be like, I can't speak to my mum anymore, or my best friend, or they're having a baby. Oh, this is really important. With this, we need to know that you can survive complete isolation. You can make friends, as many friends as you want. In fact, we encourage you to make friends in West Germany or wherever you're stationed. But the bottom line is, your old life is gone.
Yeah, right.
Done. Now, children.
Yes, that's what I don't understand.
No babies.
You're not allowed to have any.
The phrase is party before pregnancy.
Okay, why are you not allowed to have any?
Well, how did you change? How did your...
Oh, yeah, as soon as you become a mum, you become much nicer.
What? I don't remember that from
well, because all of a sudden you care for something greater than yourself. You wouldn't give a crap about the party.
The bottom line is the dynamic of the relationship, the dynamic of the marriage changes drastically.
Yep.
It's a lot more pressure. It's a lot more tension. And then there's that idea of, oh my God, I've had a child. The Russian one's a great example. The Russians who went, we want them to be raised by their grandparents in Russia. And the kid's like going, who the hell are these people?
Yeah.
I mean, my favourite married couple in fiction is Mr. and Mrs. Smith. God, that is such a good movie.
Such a great movie.
But the lovely thing with it, they're not only two married spies, they've been lying to each other all this time.
It's so good.
But that lovely moment where she said, she says, but your father at the wedding, I'm an orphan. Oh, I'm an only child. I'm an orphan. He goes, no. Your father at the wedding. Yeah, he's an actor. I thought he was on the Love Boat. It's just, to me, that's absolutely brilliant.
It was so good.
But once that's all done, you're taken to West Germany, given a temporary job to see if you work. And then if it works, you're in.
Okay.
And that married couple will live there. Now,
for how long?
For as long as it takes. Forever, essentially.
So, but what if they want to have babies? What if they change? What if they...
Party before pregnancy. Party before pregnancy.
It's so brutal.
It is. But, I mean, when you look at this...
Like giving up your life and your happiness for some fucked up ideology is so crazy to me.
It is, but this is how and that's why I thought it was,
I know, yeah.
I think it's a really nice way to end this year is to talk about how, there's a lot of stupid stuff that goes on with spies. And look, a lot of spies retire and go on to other careers. But if you're really dedicated, there is this tiny little core that is so dedicated to the cause, or as the Americans call it, commitment to cause. Yeah. They are so dedicated to it, they will sacrifice everything to get close to the Chancellor of West Germany. And they did. It works. I mean, the interesting thing is with the West Germans, with the Stasi in West Germany, they were very, very good, very, very efficient, and they did a lot of damage. The flip of it is, you look at the Americans, they got blown because there was one woman who was single who basically started playing like James Bond. She was driving sports cars and drinking martinis and doing all that sort of stuff, and like people started going, what? And she started using a Russian name.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to ask, which I kind of asked before. But like, how do the Russians so cleverly disguise their accents?
Well, they're trained.
But that's really hardcore training because a Russian accent is quite thick.
Yeah, but there was a really interesting point someone said. These people are born with this talent.
It's pretty crazy.
It's an immense skill to be able to
live a lie,
change your life entirely, including your language,
your accent. You're like a chameleon.
And that's why it's not 6 months training and you're off. This is years of training.
Yeah.
So you might find a couple that's about 21, 22 years old. They're not going to be put in situation until they're 27. If you're marrying two people together, because they're not married. The Russian ones weren't married.
That's
But with the Russians, it was like invariably you're going to have a kid because you're stuck living together. You're stuck sleeping together. Eventually, something quite literally has got to give.
I know, right? But what if you cannot stand that person after about 5 years?
Well, again, that's why it takes 5-6 years to train you, because if you can't stand that person after 5 years,
then you're welcome to a real marriage.
You're not going to be sent.
Yeah.
You're going to wind up working a desk in Dzerzhinsky Square or wherever it is, and you've failed that aspect of intelligence.
But you need shoes that fit you, so you just make it work.
Yeah, baby needs a new pair of shoes.
Yeah, literally.
That's, as I said, no spoiler alerts for
Thank you, because you were threatening them and I was like, stop.
No, I'm not going to do it.
Okay, good.
I'm not going to do it because, we will do a review.
Okay, we'll do a review. How about we do that early next year?
Actually, first episode next year.
Let's do Bond. So we'll give everyone who's listening a warning now. You have a few weeks.
Got a couple of weeks
because we're taking some time off.
Oh, God, I need it.
I know. Well, I need to not be around you.
Yeah,
for about 3 weeks.
You need time. I understand you're going bush.
I'm going bush. I'm going camping. I need some time away. And apparently you're leaving your blanket fort, which I'm really confused about.
I have to have it completely debugged.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure there's quite a few listening devices in there other than the ones. Yeah, there's a microphone. Did you know there's a microphone in the middle of my blanket?
Do you know anyone can hack into a microphone?
Oh, my God. Everyone knows. Hang on. We broadcast this.
Yes, we do.
That's fine.
Yeah.
So at the end of the year, I wanted to say a few thank yous.
Okay.
Well, first and foremost, to you for tolerating me.
I know.
My wife just goes, I find you difficult. How does this poor woman deal with this? I want to thank our avid listeners.
Yeah, our listeners have been great.
Gladio Guy on Instagram, and if you want to follow us on not Instagram, on Twitter. If you want to follow us on Twitter, it's at iSpy Podcast. Gladio Guy, he keeps sending me things going, you've got to do Operation Gladio.
Yeah, okay.
I really
So
want
we're
to
gonna do that.
It's got the CIA, Nazis, the mafia. It's an amazing story, but unfortunately, Gladio Guy, I haven't been able to do it because it's such a big subject. I haven't had time to read it.
Right.
That's what I'm doing.
So that's what you're doing. Okay, and I'll do some reading on that as well. So we'll kick next season off with a Bond review. So everyone, you've been warned. You've got a couple of weeks.
Yep.
And then we'll get into Gladio.
Yep. And now don't forget Salty Sea Dog. Damn, man.
Oh, I know. He's following me on Twitter now. It's great.
He kept us on the straight and narrow.
Yeah.
He's already sent me an article on the Soviet drone submarines.
Wow.
Yeah. Next year's going to be jam-packed. Like, I'm already just
You're so excited.
Episode. Look at you. I'm really excited. I want to record. No, you need a break. But I want. But no. Right.
I'm still here, right?
Yeah, I know. That's okay. When the microphone goes off, that's when I start talking to myself in the blanket fort. That's why I don't come out of the blanket fort. It's the talking to yourself that freaks people out. And finally, I want to really thank Xanon.
Yeah.
Our producer, Xanon.
Yeah.
Anthony, our executive producer.
Yeah.
All the guys at Dimatina Media.
Yes, they do such a good job at taking care of us.
They do such a good job at taking care of us and then talking you off the ledge after recording.
Yeah, which is a
weekly thing.
It's a big ledge.
You could be going to betterhelp.com/iSpied, but no, you don't need to because you've got your producers. But you all should try that, by the way. betterhelp.com/iSpied.
/iSpy.
Yeah, /iSpy.
Go.
/iSpy. Slash it.
But I also want to say thank you to you because you know what? Without you, I would have had to have dealt with this pandemic on my own.
Oh my God, I got to tell you, this has made the pandemic so damn easy for me. Each week I get to find somebody that hasn't heard my bullshit stories
it's
and
great.
tell them.
I know, and I listen sometimes. I'm not really listening. Sometimes you're talking and I'm staring at you blankly and I'm like, hang on. What did he just say? Do I have to? And then I go,
Yeah,
yep.
that's what I noticed. I know when you're totally disengaged. When you're looking at your phone, and you go,
It's like when your parents call you and you put the phone down, you're like, yep,
yeah, yeah.
And then sometimes after the record, you can see like just me going,
Just little blips on the line. So thank you.
Yes, thank you. Have a great break.
Yeah, have a really good Christmas. The ASIO Santa file should be kicking off very
I love
shortly.
the Santa file.
Santa file's great.
You know what? We should like bring that bite size and chuck it out.
I think
Again.
Let's do that.
Yes.
Christmas Eve, we're going to throw out the Santa file. If you haven't heard the Santa file one, don't go back and look for it. We're going to bring it forward
We'll bring
for
it
you so you
forward.
get it.
Yep.
Cool.
Sounds good.
Cheers, everyone.
Bye.